All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'll name this segment later. GTG spits that grease, etc., etc., etc. You guys know how this all goes. If the title hasn't already given away situation yet, I'd like to speak to you guys for a second. If in 2025, or maybe even 2026, could we get a Nick Rekieta cross DarkSydePhil stream, interview, whatever? Now, most of you are like, well, why would Nick Rekieta of all people want to talk to him? With Ethan Ralph soon to be appearing, well, I don't know if he would have appeared by the time this video comes out, but with Ethan Ralph soon to be appearing on Smart Guys, with two other people, the speculation on that is out there on who it could be, possibly being in pocket to be on Smart Guys. And with DSP now basically, scraping the bottom of the barrel to talk to people. You know, these people who come out of the sector, or people who were adjacent to him who have fallen out of favor, this, that, and the third. For DSP, this is easy pickings. Theoretically, the time with Kino Casino has given DSP an idea of who are Kino Casino's enemies, and would they do business with them? Would they talk shop, right? Would, as DSP likes to say, would they play ball with him and whatever? And that's who DSP is gonna target, because he's never had these type of options in the way he has with people who used to be of caliber, right? These people who used to be of substance, who used to have crazy followers and had some, I would argue, some respectability, if not a lot of it. So that brings Nick Rekieta in. So if you guys are keeping up with Nick, sorry, the case is almost, I think the case is almost done with that bullshit. He is on a PR tour of sorts, talking to he's on different streams, making himself available, trying to explain himself in certain scenarios. Most of LawTube has moved on. Most of them have grown quite a bit. Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of people. And LawTube, we've lost at least one guy to death. RIP to him. Nick is trying to get his name back out there. And he's probably sober for the first time in a long time too, so that helps. So he's out there trying to make a name for himself and whatever. But in a funny twist of fate type scenario, could you see Nick Rekieta speaking to DarkSydePhil in an interview type setting? You guys think there's any value in it? What do you think? Now let's actually get into that. Do I think it could happen? Yeah, I think so. I think it actually could happen. When Nick Rekieta wanted to talk to DSP, which was before the bank leaks, or before the bankruptcy call actually, and even afterwards, Nick was still in a pretty good position though. He was still Nick Rekieta. You know what I'm saying? This is before the drugs. This is before the girlfriend and whatever, the side piece and shit. This is before all that, the hot tub, wild, crazy shit. This is before all that. He still was very respectable. Rekieta was too intimidating for DSP. He's someone, at that time, Nick was funny. He was very quick-witted. He was pretty carefree, if you will, but yet he could also be stern, right? And he could catch DSP in a lie in a minute. But now that Nick has dirt on his name, you know, you got a child who allegedly came up with cocaine in their system, all the guns and shit, the girlfriend and all the other crazy shit. Now DSP looks at it as, oh, well, you're not as clean as you used to be. You're the bad person. Look at what you did with your kids. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot, you know, the child neglect charges and allegations against them and so on and so forth. If you're DSP and you're looking at people who you should talk to or you could talk to, Nick Rekieta is probably looking like a buffet right now. And like I said, Nick is slowly starting to come out and talk to people, trying to build his image back up and trying to change the narrative. This is easy pickings for DSP. He can probably get Nick to come by and talk to him. And he might think he could get Nick to apologize for some of the stuff that he had did in the past, and maybe even try to work together against Kino Casino. Now that part's not going to work. Nick Rekieta is not worried about Kino Casino. Addressing them wouldn't even be a good idea for him, to be honest. It wouldn't even be a good idea. apologizing to DSP to someone like Nick Rekieta doesn't mean shit, to be honest, because Nick will just go ahead and apologize and then turn around and say, well, I've taken a closer look at these numbers and they're not right, so just admit that you lied. And DSP might take the knee and do so. So Nick Rekieta could very well come out of that exchange smelling like roses. I mean, at least in this particular circumstance. He'll still have everything else to deal with, but he'll still come out on top. So there's that scenario, right? There's that set of options, if you will. There's no way DSP is going to felt Nick, to be honest. But he could get himself some clout. Hey, I was able to get Nick Rekieta up here. I was able to talk to him. You know what I mean? It does. Every little bit helps. In the day and age we live in, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a situation as it pertains to DSP's current top ops, which is Kino Casino. We're in an arms race. So whatever DSP can do, whoever he can talk to, who has a problem with Kino Casino, who has had a problem with Kino Casino, whether he can get them to speak on Kino Casino or not, it doesn't even really matter. It's, can he get them on the show? Can he get them talking to them? Can DSP get his decrepit, decrepit is probably the word for it, toxic, radioactive brand attached to or latched to someone else? Can DSP become a cancer on someone else? If he can, then he's gonna reap the benefits of it. And it doesn't matter how small of a way, as long as he feels like he can get something off of it. And that's what he's going for. I honestly think that's what that situation is. Now, the video that I talk about, this whole lolcow arms race, I'm not sure if it's out yet. I know I've already recorded it because I did it earlier today, but I'm not sure if it's out yet, or if it's going to be out first, I should say. But I did record it, so that might give it a little bit more context. Hopefully that comes out first, and then you'll get this and you'll kind of see my scenario. And I might do a few more videos where I talk about a few other people who might jump in on this. Like I said, we know Ethan Ralph is going to be on Smart Guys at least once. I got a video out on that, or I have a video coming up on that. I've already recorded it. We don't know who the other two are yet at the time that I'm recording this, but give it time and we'll see what happens there. Kino Casino's made a lot of enemies, and if DSP looks at those people as once prominent, they have dirt on them, or they're vulnerable, he's gonna go for them. That's just the way it is. And in this part of the internet, at that level, it's the only option he really has. In some ways, and this is something that I've said for a while, if DSP is gonna have to bleed a little bit to make shit happen, it looks like that's starting to set in. And you could really thank Kino Casino for that, in some ways, of giving him the confidence, I guess, whatever, to do so. But also, in truth, it's just DSP has no other options. If he really wants to keep up this mythos, this fantasy, this delusion that the internet does look at him differently, he is quote unquote different, and he wants to prove it, he has to reach out. Since he can't talk to anybody with any respectability or likability, he's got to work off the bottom of the barrel. He has to work from the ground, literally from the ground to the bottom of the barrel and then upwards. And Nick has made quite a few enemies. He's disappointed quite a few people. In these early stages, he is vulnerable enough to where DSP could probably make something happen. DSP is shown not to have any pride. He's willing to lie on himself and on his family and all this other bullshit to get over. If Nick comes a calling, or if he goes and reaches out to Nick, it could very well happen. I don't know if it will, but it could happen. If it does happen, DSP will do everything he can to try to make it beneficial for him. And that's pretty much what our scenario is. It doesn't really get any deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Nick is not going to get anything out of this except for an easy laugh off of DSP. Maybe he can bring the detractor dollar in. And that's even if, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, if you follow the Nick Rekieta case, the state of those kids, the weapons I don't mind so much, but the state of those kids, I do mind the weapons actually, that they weren't secure properly and whatnot. The drug problem is definitely a problem. There's a lot there. There's a lot there that you can't overlook, nor should you. This whole DSP thing would just be a nice reprieve. It's a night to dunk on DSP, you know, for an hour or two or whatever. He can attack the allegations against him, and then he moves on. Is he going to go head on against Ralph or Kino Casino on DSP's behalf? No, not at all. Well, yeah, no, he's not going to do it. Not that DSP would want him to go at Ralph anyway, but you know what I mean. Nick is not going to take any shots at any of his enemies, I don't think, because it doesn't really benefit him to do it at this point. When you're in the rebuilding stage like Nick is, you don't need to be you know what I'm saying, starting to send the troops out when, you know, the fort isn't even stable yet, let alone armed or secure. So that's the way I see on that. But it could be an interesting opportunity. It won't have the punch. It's not gonna have the punch that it did if Nick had done this, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. But it would be interesting to see how they interact with each other given their situations, right? DSP has been completely and utterly humiliated on top of the nonsense that he's done himself. Nick is really starting over. It's not even really rebuilding. He's literally having to start over. His name is tarnished. The brand is tarnished. He literally is just starting over. You know what I'm saying? So I'm anxious to see if he'd be willing to take that gamble, because truth be told, at this point, Nick has nothing to lose talking to DSP. He literally doesn't. He doesn't have anything to lose. I'm not saying there's crazy upside to it, but he doesn't have anything to lose. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that kind of quick video. Just trying to take your temperature, seeing what you guys think. Could that happen? Because if DSP is willing to talk to Ralph, he may be willing to talk to Cog, sorry. He may be willing to talk to Mersh. He's willing to pretty much talk to any of the goons that kind of float around there. Now, I'm not putting Nick necessarily in that category, but Nick is someone who's fallen from grace. So I think it's only fair to ask, could that be a thing? Now, I don't see someone like Medicare really willing to do it at this point. He might, he might not, we'll see. I damn sure don't see Mutahar doing that, not till he can get over that Nuck situation. Not good. Moist never wanted to talk to DSP anyway, so we can cut that shit out. And the FGC has more and more reason not to speak to DSP. Like, DSP keeps talking about former teammates. Smooth Cat is one thing, but I'm pretty confident VDO was never part of Team Hate, so pretty confident. So I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, that's Fighting Night Beatdowns. So that's a whole different subject. So anyway, what do you guys think? Could we get a Nick Rekieta cross DarkSydePhil, an interview, I should say, in particular? Would you guys even want to see it? Do you think it would even be interesting? Would it have any validity, any value to you if it even happened? Let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.